What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? My name is Jade, and this is the Here Is What We Know podcast, episode 12. Simon, can you believe we've done 12 episodes already?
It's been a long journey to get to 12. We didn't get it done in 12 weeks, but it's close enough. But 12th and onwards, who knows when we'll stop?
Oh, yeah, I will say that last week was my fault. A government minister needed my advice urgently, so I wear that one. Sorry about that,
Was it
Simon.
dating advice? Urgent dating advice.
Maybe not that kind of advice, but so good to see you, Simon. What have you been up to?
Oh man, I've had a pretty busy weekend. Played a lot of golf out at the Gulf Harbour Country Club, and then managed to get out for a wave out west this morning
Country
before
club.
Yeah, I'm a member there actually at the
You're a
Gulf Harbour
member
Country
at
Club.
a country club.
Yeah. I am a peak colonizer.
How did that happen?
You might make me sound poor on the live stream, but actually there was a really attractive deal for a membership discount.
Cool.
Yeah, no, for different ages, trying to get the younger generation as members there to hook them in, so it's a bit cheaper. So, but yeah, if you play a few times a week per month, man, it's like way cheaper than being a member anywhere else.
So let me just stay with this. So to be a member of a country club, because I've been to country clubs a couple of times, but all I did was attend like events where there might have been speakers and like awards or whatever. But to be a member, you've actually got to play golf.
No, probably not. I mean, if it's a golf country club, then that's probably the main reason you'll go there. But there'll be people who are members that just use the gym and the pool, and they would go and have dinner there and things like that. They may not play golf or play it very often, but yeah, it depends on the type of country club. Some of them have like tennis courts and all sorts of other
I was gonna say
facilities, but just at Gulf Harbour, it's pretty much just for golf. It's number one course in the country apparently.
Yeah, I believe that I attended there and received a check with a few zeros on the end of it on behalf of a youth organisation in New Zealand. Fab, you might know them, Simon.
I have heard of them. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I used to be their lead youth worker, and I got asked to go to one of their events. They're golfing all day, so I was attending a dinner, had a 2-minute speech slot, and took their money. So well worth it.
Yeah, I mean, there's it's quite prestigious company at the Gulf Harbour Country Club. It's quite a lot of circles on the cars in the car park. 4 circles altogether.
Nice.
Lots of Audis.
Okay. Well, we go from country clubs to the question of the day. Hannah's not with us today, but that's okay. Simon, are you ready?
I'm ready for sure.
All right. This will be an interesting one I hope we can get a lot of conversation out of. Name a childhood belief that you can no longer support. Name a childhood belief that you can no longer support. Now, when I came up with this, Simon, obviously, if you wanted a quick and easy way out of this, you could say center, but I was looking for something a bit deeper, actually.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think about what I really believed in back as a kid. And oh man, this is tough. It's a great question, a very good question. And I'm just trying to give it the thought it deserves. But I don't know. I mean, maybe if we wouldn't just change it up and just you go first and give me some time to think if you've got an answer.
Oh, I actually do. The unfortunate advantage of being the question guy is that I always have my answer ready. So, for me, when it comes to beliefs that I can no longer support, it's my firm belief that you can't be truly successful or wealthy by having a 9 to 5 base job. Yeah, that's one belief that has only really unraveled in the last couple of years as I've interacted um, with certain people. But my parents were very, very firm. Get a job, stay in the job for as long as you can, work your way up the ladder. That's how you achieve success. And and I've actually witnessed within my own family the exact opposite being the case. They had jobs for maybe 10 years or more, and then the company would just let them go and just be like, well, it is what it is. We're restructuring, and some of my family members never really got back on their feet. And people that I interact with now, they would say stuff like, "You need to own stuff, bro. You need to build your own thing, or at least partner in being an owner in something." And I'm really fixated on that now. Yeah, that's my whole vibe now.
Hmm. That's a good answer, and you've actually thank you because um you made me kind of realize that mine was, I guess, is just like a bit like a step more broader, and it would just not just be about the 9 to 5 job, but it's almost like the 9 to 5 life. Like
Mm,
when you're a kid, you just think everybody's supposed to finish school, get a job, get married, start a family, and like it just live in the suburbs. And I mean, I don't want to talk shit about finding somebody you love and starting a family because that's pretty much like the most important thing you should do while you're on earth. But um, it's just it's the way that it's encouraged. Well, especially when we were kids, the whole fact of you find somebody, have 2.5 kids, live in the suburbs, small house, like you get a factory job, and you have your little square of lifestyle, and you live such a small life. I guess the way to describe it would be small, and cookie cutter is it would be another way to try and describe it, like a cookie cutter lifestyle.
yeah.
And I'm quite grateful that I lost that belief quite early on in my life, which has helped me get to where I am now. But it was definitely something that you can't help but believe when you're young because it's all around you that everybody lives the same life, everybody does the exact same thing, goes through the same process, and there was nothing else to do.
Oh, and
Like,
you know what I will say though, Simon. Um, there was a long time, uh, especially when I was coming up through high school, where I saw my friends, and their parents were like middle manager executives, and they were doing okay, bro. Like their lives weren't sad by any means, and I was like, well, maybe the tension I'm feeling is that my parents weren't managers. They were employees. They were managed by someone else. But even those members of my family that are the middle managers or were the middle managers is more the case in my example. They got absolutely burned, and that's not like, I want to be clear. I realize this is live and people do watch this. I got a few comments over the last week, Simon, that we probably need to just cover off. Really nice comments about the show, actually. Um,
okay.
um, like anybody who has a job and is doing what they need to do for their family, you're winning. It's the question of the day is about what belief did I have. I believe that the 9 to 5 was the success marker. It really isn't, and I'm doing everything in my power to sort of uh, decouple that from the beliefs of all the children in my family now. I want them to think about what what can they build, what can they what can they do to add value to the market and things like that. Just in little ways. I'm not grilling them like Wolf of Wall Street or anything.
No, that's cool. I mean, that's something that is missing from most of the younger generation is that resourcefulness, the the ability to create and conjure up things of their own, um, of their own brain power.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think if you were to point at a reason, it would be, and people have said it before, it's not a new point, is the whole hyper consumption lifestyle, the short attention span, the never needing to stimulate their own creativity. But
Mm.
yeah, it's just that's missing. But yeah, if you can get kids to think about a scenario and get them to start figuring out ways that they can add value into those situations, that's setting them up for good skills in life.
One example, I'll speak on a friend of mine who is unfortunately passed now. My good friend Alex, we went to intermediate school together, and later in life we connected back up in university. I always thought he was like super broke, but because his parents would be like thrifty as, bro, thrifty as. Each for fun. I believe this is my good old friend Doxus, also known as Doxus maybe. Each for fun. Thanks for being here. Um,
Yo, what's up?
so my friend, he was like super thrifty and always wore like worn clothes, like secondhand clothes and everything. And I'm like, man, I feel bad for you, man. Like, what's going on in your house? You need a sandwich or something? Turns out his dad was building a server farm in their basement, running 3 simultaneous dial up connections to stabilize the server, set the basement on fire at one point, mortgage mortgage the house to start this business. And I don't know what the status of the business is now, but only a couple of years ago, um, they broke an average $1 million profit. And I'll say I don't know if this falls into the realm of doxing or anything, but this family owns the Knowledge Basket, who supplies all the academic databases to the University of Auckland.
Wow.
So the licensing fees were mega, and this guy hand built the service and ran them on 3 simultaneous dial-up connections when they first started the business. Like
That's
he was onto the internet. His dad was onto the internet before the internet was a
that, that's
thing.
crazy. You was doing like DARPANET, but Kiwi version.
Yeah, and like the reason they were acting so thrifty is because they were putting everything into this business.
Mm,
And that's a
that-
mindset that not a lot of people have. And
nah,
just a point I want to raise, that success is always about being comfortable and flashy and having the opportunity to do whatever. Sometimes success is about sacrifice.
totally. It's about conviction and yes, sacrificing everything you believe is worthwhile in pursuit of what you think is your ultimate goal. So I mean, I love that. I love those stories when they come out because you got to realize that sometimes those situations don't work out for good, but for your friend's dad, and I'm super happy for him to have
Yeah,
that sort of conviction so early on. It's the same thing for like people who jumped into Bitcoin before it was $1 and still held it, and things like that. You just love people who
yeah.
have the conviction on something that seems so crazy, and then it just comes to be true. Yeah.
Yeah, what's my lasting message out of this question of the day? but believe in yourself above all else. What you came to believe in your childhood doesn't always have to remain. I will say though, you know, we are coming up to Christmas, and one sort of message that I wanted to share on the show today is it's all right to be excited about the holidays like a child would be. I think we got this weird vibe in New Zealand where we're starting not to like really celebrate Christmas like we used to. And I mean, it's a bit to do with the lockdown for sure, but it's okay to believe in Christmas magic, whether there might be an obese white guy in the middle of it or not. It's still cool to believe. So anybody out there
Christmas.
that's sorry.
Christmas magic is non-denomination specific. It doesn't matter what sort of capitalist or commercial rituals you participate in. There is always Christmas magic as long as there's people and friends and family near each other and good spirits, and
No.
there's food nearby. There's Christmas magic. You don't need to have, like you said, the fat white bearded guy.
Hedge for Fun says I'm definitely in the middle of the Christmas magic and also an obese white guy. Hedge for Fun is one obese white guy we truly love on this channel, so it's good to see you again. It's been a while. Ah, so from country clubs to burning down your basement with homemade server farms to obese white guys to our next story. And I'll take the lead on it. Simon, if that's alright.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, I actually can't see the stream layout,
Oh,
and
bear with
yeah.
us for 1 second, folks. Let's talk about Kyle Rittenhouse and also the fact that my camera's frozen. Ugh. Simon, before I say what I was gonna say, why don't you
hmm
give your top line comments while I try and fix this?
Okay. I have been following this case since it started. Um, well, I mean, I was plugged into the whole riots that were happening at the time and saw the video footage of the event straight after it happened, and I had the same view I've always had the whole time, is that he was in a situation where there was massive violence and distraction going on around him. I think he maybe has a bit to answer for as to why he thought it'd be a good idea to go there, but he's not a criminal just because he was there, and that's something that I'm quite firm on. And then the situation is quite obvious where the guy presents a firearm, he is attacked and responds in self-defense, and people end up dead. I mean, I don't think it should be as controversial as it is, and you can tell it's only that way because of the media's attention and investment in it. The 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 most, just, I don't know how to describe it, stark, I guess, just real sad as well, um, is the NBA coverage. It's probably on other sports as well, in different, in like the baseball or NFL or whatever. But they've got all these ex NBA players who are, the TV analysts. They do the TV shows, talk about basketball and whatnot. And it's just this massive segment every time there's a break in the sports, and it's another ex player talking about how just it's so racist and white privilege, and this is abomination and astonishing, and all this hyperbole about how they can't believe this kid was found not guilty. And it's like, any rational person should realize that they're not saying this um of their own accord. Like, none of those people are standing there and thinking, you know what, I'm gonna give my 2 cents on this. No, they're being told to say that, and they're being told to have these positions, and they're being told to support that argument to make it seem like it was more of a travesty than it actually was. You know, the media the whole time have been fighting to paint this dude as a white supremacist for killing white people. Um, it's like it's been so politicized. You can tell every single thing the media has done was to try and make it seem um, more like he was some vicious murderer. Um, and they were
Mm.
following jury home, and you know, there's all this despicable stuff going on. The whole court thing. Every time I saw footage from it was in the court, it just looked like absolute theater. I mean, even the judge seemed like a bit of a character. So it's so hard to see. It's so hard to know truly how close to justice that really was, just because there was just so much nonsense just going on all around it, you know. And if the and I'll let you get to the article in a second, but
You
there's
basically
another
covered the whole
trial.
thing, so I was just gonna bounce off of you.
Oh,
Yeah, you've got real good understanding of the article. Yeah.
yeah, thank you. I just wanted to say there's a more important trial coming up in a couple of days. Her name's Ghislaine Maxwell. She's Jeffrey Epstein's ex-partner and
Oh
right-hand
wow.
woman in the pedophile ring. She's been held up in jail for who knows how long, and she's about to go on to trial this week. So, um, that's the thing we should all be talking about. The fact that all of the elite pedophiles that had Jeffrey Epstein whacked in prison haven't been brought to light just says a lot. Massive pivot, of course, from the article we were talking about, but just to,
No,
just
but
just my 2 cents at the end there.
it's all good, Simon. So, like reading through this stuff, and it wasn't just this New Zealand based article, but I mean, over on greenwich.com, we'll provide all the links after the show. You know, I just tried to form my own view of the situation, and you actually raised one of my main points, Simon. I'm a bit iffy about whether he should have been there in the first place. So it does start from there, but that wasn't the question for the jury. The question
No.
for the jury was he acting in self defense? And it turns out that he was. And I have to support that view.
Yeah, I do too. Um, the it's hard to put your mind into someone who was over there during that time and being from those places and seeing your communities just being absolutely destroyed night after night and seeing your local police force doing nothing or
Mm,
doing very little, and all of the media in your country is saying how these riots are a good thing and that how all of this is leading to racial progress and that, you know, none of these people are criminals when they're burning down stores and looting, you know, from massive corporations. And I couldn't give a flying if about corporations and some looting from stores, and they all get paid out
mm.
from insurance from it anyway. I'm sure if you looked into it, there was some massive payouts for all those companies that had their stores burned down, the big ones at least anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there was probably some people who had put, like your friend's dad, who'd put everything they owned into the server farms in this Kenosha town, and these rioters coming through trying to destroy it, and you don't have insurance. All you've got is mates with the guns in their safe, so
Yeah,
they come down and
exactly.
stand around outside, and hopefully they can just scare away people, not realizing that they're going to um end up facing criminals. And let's not forget the fact that the guy that um you know that he killed, one of them, was only very recently released from prison before he attended went and beat up his girlfriend um on the way to these riots or something like that. So
Okay, so none of the
and there's
articles
footage.
none of the articles I had spoke to that, so thank you, Simon.
Were you aware of any of the prior convictions of the people who perished or got shot? I mean,
I
yeah, the
wasn't.
dude, the Rosenbaum dude, the bald guy, he used to find single mothers and date them so that he could abuse their children. Done it 5 times, and
That's pretty
and it
gross.
was, yeah, and then the other, I mean, the other guy that died, it was like some form of burglar and criminal. Like you've done. There's a few burglary charges that I saw, but I mean, yeah, I'm very conscious that some media outlets use people's criminal histories to try and make it seem not so bad that they end up dead. But in this case, regardless of what they've ever done before they turn up to the riots, there's video footage of like that dude Rosenbaum, I mean, like walking up to people with the guns and saying, like bust on me, N-word, like you shoot me, why don't you shoot me? And he's right in their face, antagonizing them. Um, and I'm not sure if you've seen the actual video of the court, but the there's a video of the lawyer asking one of the guys. He said, so Kyle didn't fire until you presented your firearm towards him, and he says, yeah. And so then that was pretty much basically the start of the end of it that I saw on Twitter. Everybody was like, yeah, they just admitted to the fact that he didn't start shooting until the guy,
Yeah.
presented a reasonable threat, which was a gun pointed at him. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with that.
Should a
It's such a
17
sad situation.
should a 17-year-old be rolling with an AR-15?
Well, they sent 17-year-olds to fight in the wars. I mean, like, no one was batting an eyelid at that.
Yeah, that's a fair call. But
It's nobody ever thought war would be a reasonable act, but it happened. It's the same thing with riots in your neighborhood towns and people basically forming like little armed militias and vigilante groups.
yeah, I think where I'm comfortable staying with my perspective is that this is less about Kyle and more of an overtone about the state of the United States of America itself at the moment.
Mm.
I think if I want to comment on anything, I want to comment on that. Just for the fact that, because we've spoken about Black Lives Matter on this show and the fact that, what they do is wrong. The looting is wrong. The setting buildings on fire is wrong. The violence is wrong. Antifa is no better. They're essentially a domestic terrorist group. So you overlay that with what then happened with a gentleman getting shot in the back several times by police in front of his children. Only a few days before the riot, I think reporters were drawing lines between the two events. So I was led to believe that a protest happened because a man was shot in the back several times in front of his children. A black man, by the way. He's now permanently paralyzed, and the left, the political left, are saying, well, that guy landed in a wheelchair. Kyle got nothing, and also George Floyd is dead. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know the context of the other situation with the guy that got paralyzed, but I mean, I sound like a raging conservative, but I've got none of the context, so I can't have an opinion. But surely there's got to be some material difference between the two situations that created that outcome. I
Compliance.
mean, well, yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, there's the videos of like pretty recently after the Kyle firing and hitting those people. He's like walking away from all the action towards the police, and he like kind of puts his hands up, and the police car just drives right by him and just doesn't acknowledge him, pretty much.
Wow.
And that then it's pretty weird and bizarre for that to happen, and I can get that, but it just goes to show that I mean that whole scenario with Carl is very weird and a lot of chaos going on. And whereas what was happening with this person who got fired is he was probably like the sole criminal in a sole situation with a sole police officer. And they're comparing a one-on-one interaction with the person with law enforcement with a a riot situation with, a citywide of events, and the police are trying to figure out which ones they need to attend to.
Now, I was aware that Kyle was originally representing himself, but near the end of the trial, it certainly didn't look like that. It looked like he had 3 or 4 sort of staff with him. Do you have any insight into that?
Ah, no, I had no idea about that detail, but I mean, it makes sense. I mean, maybe he's not that rich, and after a while, he got some private support for some good lawyers. I don't know.
Oh no, I mean there was definitely a reference to the fact that his family started a fund
Oh
for
yeah.
Kyle. They started selling merch uh, on his behalf, and they managed to raise over $1 million. So Kyle definitely struck a chord with the conservative community in particular.
Yeah, I saw hats. There's these hats somebody made, and it says on the front of it, "Shoot your local pedophile."
Well, we can't condone shooting people here on the
No,
Here Is What We
but it
Know
makes great
podcast, but
merch.
I will say this: I like that
Mm.
hat. So for now, I guess that's it. Kyle's a free man. Not only is he free, but he will definitely get his gun back. And
And he's going to make a lot of money off some lawsuits for defamation. There'll be some news companies that will be getting letters from lawyers and will be settling privately to avoid anything further. 100%. Same thing happened, with that kid that just stood there and smiled in
the
front of the guy
African,
with the
the
gun. Yeah.
the Indian Americans, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That kid got massive settlements apparently.
Yeah, 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 for sure, because the media labeled him as an extremist, as this and that, and it's so not true. Yeah, so what an interesting story. Are we thankful or not that New Zealand is not that interesting, Simon?
Yeah. No. Very thankful that we're not that interesting.
Oh,
America is an absolute circus show at the moment.
yeah. Uh, before we go to the next story, I was kind of mulling this over, and I was like, I don't think New Zealanders can really be bothered to riot. Like even when we do an angry protest, like the ones we had Mahia on the show, even with the protests we're experiencing, typical New Zealanders, what do? Have a picnic. It's all super chill.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen what's been going on in Australia, but in Melbourne, they are firing up. They're talking about they had some. I saw a video from um, yesterday of this military general talking about, this ends when we say no. We're going on strike. We're putting Australia on strike. Everybody needs to stop turning up to work, calling sick, do whatever. We're gonna
Wow.
put Australia to its knees. They're talking serious talk over there. It's almost time for the fisticuffs, the real fisticuffs to start. I mean, the tension is a lot higher over there, man. The attitude is way different. If you can find some of the footage from what's going in Australia and or Austria, I mean, those places are really firing up.
Like, sorry to put you on the spot, but do you have
Mm.
any sense of the Australian vaccination rates?
Nah, it would be not as good as ours because I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I've heard us already celebrating that would be better. But it would be quite good. I mean, they've had pretty tough mandates like we have, um, and they didn't do it just for jobs. I think it was areas or something like that. Or um, yeah, I don't think they were as specific with their mandates as what we have been. But they were talking about, or they did, they were a lot quicker in adopting mandates for places. our New Zealand strategy for convincing people to get the vaccine was to mandate the work. What Aussie's doing is saying you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, like go to the supermarket or not supermarket. That's a bad example. Like you can't go to clubs or
Sure.
any restaurants and stuff like that. So yeah,
Got
each
it.
different country's kind of taken their own approach to see what can move the needle the best.
So there's a bit of a theme running through the show today. We're gonna go from self defense to copyright infringement. We so we're gonna be covering the Streamlab story, and I'm sure most of you that follow this show will be very abreast of the issues here. But Streamlabs drops OBS from the company name in response to recent controversy. And this is actually mind blowing for a couple of reasons. Not only because a large majority of beginner streamers start on Streamlabs because of the amazing wizards and the sort of that they have like an overlay store, Simon, where you can just quickly grab an overlay, but not only do you purchase it, it kind of places everything in for you. Uh,
Ah,
so there's a lot of hands-free automation with Streamlabs OBS, which is very different to OBS Studio, which is more for the power user type streaming people. Full disclosure, we're big fans of OBS Studio here in the Here Is What We Know podcast. But also, Simon, I understand that you use OBS Studio and other projects.
yeah, I do for my work and also in other personal content creation stuff. Yeah, we
Yeah,
use
awesome.
OBS as well. It's
So
so easy. Love it.
yeah, it is. Once you get it, you get it. Like it is technical and really impressive, but after a while, you can kind of do it with your eyes closed. But the meat and potatoes of this story is that for a long time, Streamlabs was calling itself Streamlabs OBS because they were using core technology from the OBS Studio project, which was open source, and you're more than welcome to use some of the core project code within a few parameters. I understand Streamlabs obeyed with many of these parameters, except for the fact that when they asked the OBS Studio team about the branding and whether they could use OBS in the name, the OBS team were really clear and said, "Yeah, nah, we're not super keen for you to do that because your product is not only quite different to ours, but you're also offering paid features, so that was quite outside the sort of thesis and vision the project had. Where this all came to a head, though, is um, Streamlabs developed a tool which enabled console only streaming, but with overlay features. That this is something that you're typically not able to do. I don't know if you've ever streamed on console, Simon, but it's pretty basic, pretty rough. Uh,
Yeah. No, I've tried. It didn't go well. You need a
and
lot more bandwidth than I had.
and console streams typically don't have a face cam. There are ways around it, but let me just check here. Lightstream are a company that had originally developed the console-based professional streaming. That's fine. You have competitors in every market. You can't expect to be the only player in a sort of product niche. The problem is, though, that Streamlabs essentially identically copied not only the product and technology, but the landing page as well. Like the landing page, I'll see if I can get a link. But identical is an understatement, Simon.
It's yeah. Well, what did you say before? Even down to the reviews.
Even down to the reviews. So I've got a bit of an image, and I'm gonna put it up on screen now. Apologies if you can't make it out at home. But Simon, I mean, would you look at that?
Yeah, I know.
So,
I mean, well, you see, instead of it being, they've instead of putting the images just on the right hand side, you can see they've gone on the left and then on the right hand side, so it's not so obvious. They've changed some of the words and colors too. I mean, it's pretty different, right?
I'm gonna see if I can zoom in. Oh, Chrome's not letting me zoom. But just to say for the people at home, yeah, this would not hold up in copyright court. And the
No.
discussion I wanted to have, though, Simon, is it is fair to say that, like, I will say this: I had a conversation with an intellectual property lawyer not so long ago about a project that I'm working on at the moment, and she said something really interesting. She said the code for launching a button, for example, is the same on every web-based program. You need to call the item button. You can't not do that. So,
Yep.
so every website would feature a button object or a input field object. You can't not call those. So a difficulty that judges have is, you know, where do you draw the line? When are you, as we would say in New Zealand, taking the piss? You
Yeah,
know,
that is very clearly taking the piss.
yeah. And I think it comes down to where I'd be more comfortable is, you know, whether there was more brand differentiation. Like this, I'll put it up again. This landing page is a good example where you don't give a shit about brand differentiation. Even if your features were exactly the same, you need to be trying to tell a different story. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You need to be coming from a different angle. You need to make your offering more or differently appealing to your customers.
It's literally just like they've gone, that seems to work. Let's just do exactly what they do, but a little bit different because their whole marketing is it's our competitor's product, but by us.
Exactly,
That's the
and bro, I don't know. Oh, I won't do it now, but I'll just say, in the comments of this Kotaku story, there's a guy in there that says he was working on a web project for a client, and she literally said to them, I don't understand why we're not getting really good metrics. We literally copied the competitor. And she thought that would be a positive thing. And them coming in as a consultancy was saying, that's exactly why you're failing.
so somebody came in and consulted for a business to say, here, this is the way you should operate, and it was just their competitor's method of operation or marketing.
Oh, bro, I'm talking about the website. So it was literally a copy and paste jobby, like
Mm,
what you're seeing right here from Streamlabs.
yeah,
I can't
but they
believe.
just did it on purpose.
Yeah, like it was a strategic intent.
Yeah.
Like, good on Lightstream though. Like, they've been getting a lot of hype out of this. But I don't know, man.
So what's the relationship between Lightstream and Streamlabs and OBS
Okay,
as
so
organizations?
Lightstream has no relationship to either of them.
Right.
Lightstream is a company in their own right, coming out with a fairly innovative product that only they've had for some time.
Mm.
We're losing your picture a wee bit there.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know what's happened. Sorry.
Look like you're underwater. It's actually a cool effect.
Huh.
So Lightstream do their own thing, and they've had that niche for quite a while. The console streaming with
Oh, we're back.
professional overlays.
Mm.
Streamlabs basically took core code from OBS and made a company out of it.
Mm.
What they did was basically take the core functionality of OBS and sort of bake in some paid offerings around overlays and all that. So you could like
Mm.
one click some overlay settings, and you could be away streaming. So that was their like market differentiator. And OBS is just a really hardcore open source community.
Yeah.
They don't give a
Cool.
fuck.
Like Firefox. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the story basically that the internet has basically taken a shit. Like a lot of people actually thought that because OBS was in their name, that it was a collab with OBS.
Mm.
And you saw that tweet. They've recently come out and said, "Nah, we tried to tell them a while ago. Piss off, basically." And the fallout for Streamlabs has been, well, I can speak to one example. Pokimane was one of their main ambassadors over at
Mm.
Streamlabs. So she said, sort your shit out, or you're not gonna have my endorsement anymore. But weak, you know. Like she really cares about them or anybody else.
No, she just knows that that's the right thing to say.
Her publicist would have told her to say that.
Totally. it's it's. I tell you what, man. If there is one place to look to just really highlight the just exponential growth in like capitalism and or just trying to do commerce in general, and how every single market is just exponentially increased in terms of participants and the price of entry. Streaming is the best place. 5 years ago, you could have your webcam on, on your laptop and stream you playing RuneScape to Twitch and you get viewers and not look out of place. Now every single person has an HD 1080p 60 FPS camera. The animated overlays, everybody
Yeah.
has that on Twitch, and it's just such a good way to highlight just how that's happened in every facet of life. Everybody has gone 10 times better at doing it and doing it faster.
Mm.
It's crazy.
Can you think of another example? I was trying to rack my brain real fast, but of corporate copying that was so savage it actually worked for them.
Oh, I know there has been. Nothing is jumping out at me straight away.
I have a
Copying
weak
homework.
example: Pepsi versus Coke.
I was gonna say that. And I think there was like an um I think there's been some ad examples where like TV ads have been like pretty much exactly the same. I just can't think of them. No, nothing's coming forward. I mean, you hear of the first mover's advantage, and then
Yeah.
um, but you can take advantage of being second to the market and having the opportunity to evaluate what made that person so successful straight away, and then try and implement it in a way that works for
Mm.
you. But implementing their way for you is not a recipe for success very often.
Another example that comes to mind is, Bill Gates was on record back in the day, back in the 80s, saying that having clickable icons is a childlike idea and serious business people would never go for that. Hello, Windows 95, and every other Windows after that.
Yeah.
That was an Apple idea that Apple bought from Xerox, I believe. Xerox held the intellectual property for clickable icons.
Wow.
Steve Jobs, man, he knew what the hell he was doing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, both those organizations are notorious for um, purchasing anybody that just slightly looks like a competitor. Anyone who gets a point of difference or new technology, they will purchase you and take your idea, and no one will ever hear of you
Oh, you'll get a Billy on the way out though.
if you're lucky.
Yeah,
Sometimes they might
yeah.
just sometimes they might just take it over hostile. If they don't like you, they'll just take your IP and you'll die poor.
True. There are some examples of that. There are.
Hmm.
But we're almost at the top of the hour, Simon, so how about we move into final thoughts?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I was trying to see if I could spot anything on the timeline from today to just share quickly, but nothing that isn't just people sharing their pointless reckonings about some pointless court case in the States.
Should we start with you or?
Yeah, sure. My final thoughts. I don't know. I'm I'm starting to get really positive about the summer vibes that are on the way.
Yeah.
Regardless, like I'm really trying my best to just not compartmentalize, but that is the best way to describe it, but in as healthy way as possible, is manage dealing with the things that affect my life from a COVID and global political perspective. That's that kind of shit you need to follow because it's really fucked up at the moment. But
Mm.
you can't let it taint. You can't let it taint your personal world. Like I'm really stoked that I can still go and play golf and go surfing and my life's sweet and still be conscious of trying to do my best to stay current with the big moves and political actions. So I guess yeah, my final thought would be just to, if you are somebody who is you know tightly following a news cycle or trying to stay current with everything that's going on, make sure you've got your peace and your paradise.
Yeah, my final thoughts on today, the Carl Rittenhouse thing, I'm just gonna say that I'm really glad it's over. It was a crazy case, and much like Simon said, I think we should spend the holidays finding peace. That like one way that I'm doing that at the moment is consuming much less mainstream media. There are independent YouTubers and bloggers that I trust, and I'll go to them because I know they'll have a reasonably balanced view. But I don't even take their views necessarily to heart either. It's important to make your mind up about everything. It's important to cherish the people around you, um, which I know some people aren't able to do anymore. due to COVID or due to lockdown restrictions. But whoever you can reach out to, whether it just be on FaceTime. Like, for example, my dad lives in Ireland, as I've said a couple of times. But I still talk to him, and like, just being able to have a conversation is so fulfilling. Reach out to those that you look up to would be the thing that I'd say. So, Simon, we have made a decision about summer shutdown, but I can't actually remember what we said. So do you want to cover that off for the people at home?
Yeah, I think we agreed that it would be the Sunday. I'm looking at it now on my computer. Yeah, Sunday the 19th would probably be,
Sure.
I think, the last show, and then give ourselves Christmas to kick back, and then come back into things like early to mid January, maybe the 9th or the 16th. We'll see.
Yeah. That sounds really fair, and for those of you in the Farrar Familia, I'm thinking about. I haven't spoken to Simon about this yet, but I'm thinking about putting together a couple of clip shows. There have been some really interesting conversations over these last 12 weeks. So I'm reasonably certain that there'll be some gems and nuggets to find in there. To get those, you'll have to go over to either the YouTube or the Odyssey channel. But for now, thank you so much for joining us. We hope these conversations provoked something within you to think about the world a little bit differently. Thank you for being a part of the channel. Thank you for being a part of the journey. Please stay awesome. And Simon?
And we'll see you all in the next one. Peace.